What's good, Temple? This your boy again. I'm gonna do another brief video. Again, gearing towards the insurance. Because real estate is a little more subjective. It's something tangible, so that's something that you have to be very specific about. Give me 1 second. Let me just turn off this light here. All right, that's better. Um, Give me 1 second. Let me just log into this. Alright, so I'm logged in there. And I want to take y'all to the website that I mentioned that is a resource if you don't want to deal with a licensed representative. So you're going to go to www.lifehappens.org. Now, there's some benefits and some detriments to this website. The benefit are it's a not-for-profit organization, so they're not affiliated with any insurance agency, company, anything like that. The detriment is very similar to my previous video. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to come here and just scroll around the page, and it's going to tell you generally some things, and then it's going to tell you, with this information, go seek out a licensed representative. Just like if you have legal issues, you can look up the law, but you're still going to go get a lawyer. So, for example, considerations for singles, young families, established families, empty nesters, retirees, and businesses. They'll tell you about the types of insurance. They have life insurance. They have disability insurance, which I call paycheck insurance. They have long-term care insurance, which is the type of insurance that you would need if you become a senior citizen and your kids don't want to take care of you, so they put you in a nursing home. Well, there's got to be some money that comes from that. Which is why a lot of people end up just kind of pulling the plug on, senior citizens. It'll ask you where to find coverage, ways to get covered with an agent at the workplace, internet, by mail or phone, or find the company. Give me 1 second, I'm getting a text message here. Alright. So find coverage. Like I said, so it'll tell you, locate an agent, blah, blah, blah. Calculators. So again, I offer a complimentary assessment. So let's go ahead and go through their life insurance needs assessment. It says assess how much capital your family would need when you die to both meet immediate financial obligations and keep the household running. So what that means is when you get approached by an insurance agent and they say, do you have life insurance? Are you interested in it? And you say, I already have a policy. I have a $100,000 policy, but you make $60,000 a year. When you die, two things happen. One, your presence goes away. But two, your income goes away. So now, that $60,000 a year has to be supplemented by $100,000. The average cost of a funeral, let's see, is about $21,000. And I'm just going to Google it since that's what, dang it, let's Google it. I don't like Bing. It's the same thing, right? Average funeral cost. Let's do it like that. Average funeral cost, 2017. Okay, today the average North American funeral costs between $7,000 and $10,000. This price range includes the services at the funeral home, burial and cemetery, and the installation of a headstone. So according to this, let's go to a more updated, which is January of 2007, January 2017. But it's right there. The average cost is between $7,000 and $10,000. So how much does the average funeral cost? Is there a calculator? How the funeral industry works. Okay, so unfortunately this, let's see. This article provides average funeral cost data for American funerals. The average cost for an American funeral, like other goods and services, has been steadily increasing over the last 2 decades. Anyone that has seen a late-night television commercial for funeral insurance knows a typical American funeral costs more than $6,000. But is this an accurate estimate? The short answer is no. Unfortunately, $6,000 estimate is several years old and doesn't take into consideration the additional expenses associated with burial in a cemetery and the purchase of a headstone. Once all funeral-related costs are factored in, the typical traditional funeral service will cost the average family closer to $8,000 to $10,000. But before we discuss specific funeral costs, we need to spend a few minutes discussing the funeral industry. So I'll let you go through this on your own. Funeral home. Let's see. So, it's a little different, obviously, state to state. My cousin owns DeKalb Funeral Home out here in New York, and the average cost of a casket is about $3,000. So let's see. The family spends approximately $6,000 on goods and services purchased from the funeral home. Here's a price breakdown of some of those typical costs. Casket, $2,300. Funeral director's basic services fees. Embalming and body preparation, $600. Funeral basic fee, $1,500. Funeral ceremony and viewing, $1,000. Miscellaneous, the hearse, death certificate, obituary, etc., at least $600. Next comes the ceremony. Then you've got the grave space, cost to dig the grave. Don't forget about the headstone or grave marker. While the typical family has spent close to $8,000 by now, there are still more costs in completing the funeral transaction. If the body is buried in a cemetery, you also need to purchase a headstone or grave marker. The type of stone you're required to buy depends on the section of the cemetery. And then more information. And then it says a headstone is on average $2,000 and a grave marker is $1,000. This is what I just Googled. See what a funeral costs in these popular cities. Connecticut isn't one, but New York, everybody's close enough to New York that pretty much is on my timeline, so let's take a look. There is one funeral home here that says it will offer its premium services for $81.40, but that's New Jersey, not New York. And Hennessy Heights will do it for $56.85. Again, these are estimated costs, so very similar to the video that I'm going to show you. Here we go, Andretti Funeral Home. This is in New York. $98.15. There are some lower, there are some higher. Again, there's going to be different reasons as to what and why, and the products and services that you're getting that are going to vary and change the cost of your funeral. So, like I said, the average policy here, let's start calculating your life insurance needs. Again, this is lifehappens.org. You can go to this, unlike this website, WinFlex, where this is where I would come to you and figure out the price for you. So let's calculate your needs. Alright, when purchasing life insurance, the question really isn't how much you need, but how much capital your family will need at the time of your death, which depends on two variables. How much will be needed at death to meet immediate obligations? Okay, this amount takes into account all final expenses, uncovered medical bills, funeral and estate settling costs, outstanding debts, mortgage balance, and college costs, to name a few. How much future income is needed to sustain the household? So again, this is, like I said, you have a $100,000 policy and you make $60,000 a year. Your funeral, let's say, on average is $10,000. So now out of that $100,000 policy, you have $90,000 left. Now let's take a look and say you have some exorbitant final expense costs. Let's just say you have let's say you have low final expense costs. Let's say it's only $10,000. So now you have $80,000 left. And let's say you have children who are under the age of 24. Just like your health insurance goes up to 24 if they're in college, you want your life insurance to make sure that you cover your lifestyle that you've created until your child is 24. Most people today are not going into the workforce until they are 24, 25 years old, because now we go to college and we get all these degrees, and people's first job when we were younger used to be 17. 15 years later, now people are going to college and they're not getting a job part-time or whatever. They're going straight to college and they're working through. So that leaves you with $80,000. So that's 1 year's income. Boom. That year is gone. Year 2, you have $20,000 left to your family. Would you feel alright if your ghost came back and saw your family with what you left? You'll have to make that decision. 86%, this is facts of life, 86% say they haven't bought life insurance because it's too expensive, yet overestimate its true cost by more than 2 times. So again, how much future income is needed to sustain the household? This is the number you'll arrive at after calculating the present value of cash flow streams of your family you will need after death. Please be sure to enter a value in all fields to process the analysis. If the fields are not used, enter 0. Note, only numeric values will be accepted. Do not use special characters as $ or commas. So let's say the average person has final expenses of, well, it has here $15K, so let's do $15K. Okay, a mortgage. Most everyone wants to buy a house. Now, we're going to say that we've got 20 years in on the house, and we only have, let's say, $250,000 left on the house. Again, this is assuming that you're in New York and your house is $1 million. Let's say you have a less than that on the mortgage. Let's say, for all intents and purposes, you have $33,500 left on your mortgage. Oh, this is outstanding debts other than mortgage. I'm sorry. $33,500 left on your mortgage. This is outstanding debts other than mortgage. So you got your car note, you got your credit cards, you got all kinds of other stuff. Let's say this is $42,000. Okay, again, these are arbitrary numbers, but these are very realistic numbers. How many children require college funding? Let's say we're living the American dream. We have the 2 children. Child 1, let's say the child 1 is age 10. School type, we want to send them to a private college. Let's say child 2 is 4 years old. School type, want to send them to a private college as well. How much annual income would your family need if you died today? So let's say your total annual income is $60,000. Or you know what, let's make it, let's say it's an average person who is in America. Let's say it is $37,500 a year. How many years should this income be provided? Well, your youngest child is what? 4 years old, so 20 years. 20 years. Okay, what is your current savings and investments, not including retirement funds? Most people don't have a real net worth of investment, so we'll leave that at 0. What is your current retirement savings? Let's say people do have something in their 401k. Let's say it is, let's be generous, we're going to say $12,000. Okay, what's the value of life insurance in force you have? Let's say you have $100,000 currently in force. Or actually, you know what? Your annual income is $37,500. We would double it, but we're going to say $100,000. Assuming your spouse would work following your death, what is your spouse's annual income? Let's say your spouse currently works and they make $37,500 as well. How many years does your spouse expect to work? If you're 30 years old, another 30 years. Your spouse's marginal tax rate, that's about average. Extras will kind of leave alone. Estimated inflation, 3%. After-tax investment rate, yield of 6%. And let's go to the analysis. So the analysis says here that the total need for life insurance, including the $100,000 that you have currently, would be $709,840.83. I'm going to do another video because I like to keep these short. I'm noticing that the shorter, the sweeter, the better. It's probably easier for you to watch and gain in that manner. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short and then revisit it later. With that being said, Black Lives Matter. One love. I'm out.